Akintoye. Welcome to another episode of Leadership Conversation with Adeola Akintoye. Today, I'm going to be talking to an amazing African who is doing amazing things as well. His name is Mbacke Niang. I hope I'm pronouncing it very well, but it's Mbacke to me. Mbacke is currently in a new role, and congratulations, Mbacke. Is the Global Program Development and Implementation Director at Christian Blind Mission in Kenya. And I'm sure he's really excited about that role, and we're going to hear a bit more. So Mbacke has got over 27 years of experience in international development across Africa, and he's worked for the big international organizations supporting Africa development. And not to crown it all, from my perspective, it was awarded an OBE by the Queen, so I should call him Mbacke Niang OBE. Congrats, Mbacke.
Thank you.
And this was for his work, responding to the food security crisis and floods in Niger in 2010. Thank you so much, Mbacke, for taking this time. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your leadership experience. Thank you and welcome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, especially this new role? What's exciting you about it?
Yes, thank you very much, Adeola, and for inviting me to this wonderful discussion. I used to really watch some of the videos, so I'm really excited about it. My name is Mbacke Niang. I'm the Global Director for Program Development and Implementation for Christian Blind Mission, which is an international German NGO operating across the world. It is a pleasure for me to meet you and discuss. I also would like to say that as a leader in African development sector, I have been having many experiences that I would share today. But it is important to know that as a global director, it's a little bit different than just being a regional director for West and Central Africa. Now I'm covering almost the program across the world. So what is exciting is that I might be discovering some new context, some new colleagues from different horizon. And the most important thing for me is the learning aspect. So I'm very humble that it will be exciting for me to learn from the other context. That's the most exciting bit in this new role.
Thank you. I know one of the elements of a good leader is the ability and willingness to learn. You can never arrive. You can't say you know it all, and it's about continuous learning. So, what does leadership mean to you, Mbacke, from your experience, and what maybe one or two key milestones in your own journey that you like to share with us?
Yeah, actually, most of the things that I found very helpful when you are in a position is generally, unfortunately, after you leave. So after I have left many of the positions I occupied, like country director in Niger, country director in Mali, regional director at Oxfam, and director of program at ACBF. Whenever I leave, when I meet colleagues, it's really, they will tell you that, you have been a good leader to us. You have inspired us. You have been a wonderful, colleague. This is for me the most important thing. It's not when people say that when you are working with them or when they say that in front of you. They can share it and it's widespread. And when you meet, they will say, I have heard from a colleague, you have been working with them in Niger. They still remember you as a good leader. So that is for me very important. So I think it's about the influence you have, the impact you have in people's mind, in people's behavior and attitude, even when you are no longer with them. So this is for me very important.
Oh, that's great. You know, recently, one of the people I work with told me, Adiola, you gave us a voice, and that really impacted me, that wow, you never know, you're just trying to do your best, to help people to be their best, but you are making an impact in their life. So, I can definitely relate with that. Who has inspired you in your own journey and why?
That one is a tough question because I must admit that I have been very lucky throughout my career because I have had a chance to work with many extraordinary leaders, and this is a chance for me. I will not give you a name, but the last four ones I have worked with have been amazing leaders in the sense that they have been inspirational for me. They create space for me to learn and to discover my competencies. And they create space that I will feel empowered to make decisions and to make mistakes and to learn out of them, most of them. So I would say the last four I have worked with in Oxfam, the former regional director, my current boss, who is the CEO of the current organization I'm working with, my just previous boss at ACPF. Those are extraordinary leaders. They have been able to inspire me. They have been able to create a safe space for me to express my competencies, my potential, but most importantly, to make mistakes and to learn from them. So as I said, it's really part of the ingredient that helped me grow in my career. Sometimes it's difficult to grow if you don't have great leaders, but I have that exceptional chance. I hope many of young African leaders would have that chance to come across great leaders who inspire them, who make them feel confident to realize their potential, and also to give them space to learn and to make mistakes, and to build their career moving forward.
Oh, that's awesome. You're so lucky, you can say.
Yes.
Most of your leaders have created that space for you to learn and to grow. So maybe we'll look at one of those, experiences of mistakes. Is it John Maxwell has a book, I think it says Failing Forward. And so what is your own fail forward experience and that has shaped your leadership journey?
Yeah, actually, I am a leader who believes that in each individual staff or anyone you are leading has a potential. And I would always like to engage them and see what they want to do, how they want to grow, what is their interest, and try to see how I can facilitate. I'm not going to say help, but how I can facilitate that process. And honestly, I have been succeeding in many cases. But I realized that the approach I have been using for some of them are not the best one. So, and I realized that I need to be a little bit more situational and also to take into account the cultural context. For me, that has been a very important learning. I thought, okay, I'm from Senegal, West Africa, and the approach I've been using to help them develop and facilitate their development can be valid in many instances because I have been succeeding, in Niger, in Mali, in Senegal, in Togo. But at some point, I kind of hit the wall with one or two of the staff. And I realized that after looking at the issues, I realized that, maybe I need to reinvent, some of the elements of my approach. And I was saying, okay, which aspects? And in the end, I realized that Sometimes it's a matter of context. Sometimes it's a matter of a cultural dimension that I needed to take into account. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of being a little bit more situational in the approach I'm using. So this has been great learning for me. So a leader, I in the end realized that you have to be able to navigate the different contexts, the different challenges, to learn and to adapt. So to be agile and to be flexible, but also to take time and reflect. If things are not working, you need to step back and then look at the issues more critically and then learn. And that's what I try to do. So in some instances, you will succeed. In others, you'll have to admit that there are limitations that you need to analyze and in order for you to learn and progress.
Have you ever had the situation where you just say, okay, maybe there's nothing more I can do in this situation?
Yeah, it can happen. I have had similar cases, but I did not stop there. What I did was I tried to work with other colleagues, and I would not say transfer the case, but I asked them to come in for help. I think I would, in my philosophy, in the leadership world or in the development world, I would always say to my colleagues that there is no problem without a solution. That's the frame of my thinking, and always you can refer them to other colleagues. You can seek support, but never leave your colleagues in challenges without helping to find solution, even if it's not coming from you. So it's recognizing your limits, and being open to other options.
Wow, that is so true. That is really, really inspiring. From what you were saying, I got the sense of being a very self-aware leader. So, because you were able to identify when you were not making progress and analyze what the issues or the challenges were. And you said reinvent your approach, looking at the context, the cultural dimension, the diversity dimension, and also what you were saying, the way it's inspired me now is the need to also be humble to ask for help. So it might be that that is what is needed, or other colleagues. So as a leader, don't be willing to ask for help.
Exactly.
No problem without a solution.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, I fully agree. And it's that, as I said, recognize your limits and being humble enough to be open to other, experiences, and also being connected, it's part of leadership. You have to be connected to see maybe it doesn't work with me, maybe it's somewhere else in the network, or when I do some research, I can maybe tap into others' experience. So it's part of it, I think.
Hmm. A leader definitely must be collaborative and be connected because leaders don't have everything, all the solution. Thank you for that. So I see that you have a passion and dedication to the long-term development of Africa in a way. Because if I
Mhm.
look at the work that you've been doing and the aspect of the engagement with the community and humanitarian response.
Mhm.
I'm also fascinated by the response that led to the OBE. I know in humanitarian context, it's slightly different to development where things are a bit more laid back.
Mhm.
So how was what was it like leading people during a crisis? Somebody once said that leaders emerge during crisis, and so I was really curious about your experience in when there's such crisis, people are dying, there's a need to do something right now. And did your leadership style change, working in that humanitarian crisis or not?
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. When you're working in an environment, in a humanitarian setting, is a little bit different from where you are in development, because the most important element here is time. Time is of essence. You are when you are in a humanitarian situation, you need to act quickly. And if you are leading a humanitarian response, you are leading a diverse team. You are leading people who are bringing expertise that you don't have, because you are not a food security expert, you are not a WASH expert, you are not a medical doctor, but you need all of these guys to be able to have a sound response. You're not an accountant, you are not, you're not a logistician, but you need all of them. And your action and your decision is very important, because in a humanitarian situation, you have to be decisive. So decisiveness is important. The action cannot be delayed forever. You have to take action, and then people will have to act on it. So that's where leadership is very critical, because you have to facilitate processes in a way that you get the best out of everyone in a more coordinated way, so that your action to the field is timely, is accurate, is relevant, and also respond, as I said, relevant, so respond to the need of the communities you are serving. And you are managing, kind of at two levels. One is your team to get them ready for the response. The other one is your relationship with the community, because the response need to be adequate to the needs they have. So you need to engage with the community leaders, the communities themselves, to know the environment and the context, to know the market. Let me give you an example. In Niger in 20, I was one of the first directors, even if not the first one, to experiment cash distribution. And it was a very tough decision I had to take as a regional director, because we had one of the major donors who wanted to give us money, but the needs at the field were accurate, and we have to act immediately. We had money, but we cannot do the whole logistic chain, supply chain, to deliver goods to the people. So a decision has to be made. How do we act quickly so that people receive the support they need? And after doing a lot of analysis and rapid assessment with my team, a decision has to be made. As a country director, I needed to decide whether or not we go for cash distribution or not. At that time, there was no institution who are able to do that work. But I took the decision with support from my regional director and the executive director of Oxfam to go for the cash distribution. That was the right decision. But I was able to reach that decision because the team was brought together in a way that everyone was confident that this is the only decision we can take. The community as well was supportive of that, because I engaged them in a process where they feel like they are part of the decision-making process. So I was confident in the end to take the decision, and it was proven to be the best one. And up to now, people continue to do cash distribution in Niger, and that's where I got this award, because it was a fantastic response. And Oxfam was really awarded as an organization and congratulated by the government. So in a nutshell, in a humanitarian setting, it's about decisiveness, but also facilitating a process where everyone feels empowered and knows that this leadership is doing the right thing, because they are involved, because they feel like they are part of the process. I think it's very key.
Well, that's really interesting. So the aspect of in humanitarian response, time is of essence. So you mentioned, decisiveness and action, it's really important. And being timely, being relevant as well, and also including the community themselves. in terms of the intervention or the support that we're giving them. And
Mm.
where there's barrier of logistics, cash seems to make sense and being courageous. Thank you. That is really fascinating for me. What challenge did you get from leading people with all these experts? How did is there any challenge you can, share with us how you, overcame that or worked through that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy task to animate a team where you have people who are very highly talented in terms of their expertise, who have a lot of issues. Sometimes even they have more years in the domain than you. So it's a challenge. But the most important thing, I think, is as a leader, you need to be uh, having a vision that you can share, that you can empower anyone to contribute to creating that vision. You need also to have clarity in terms of objectives and that you share. So you create ownership and understanding around the objectives. Clarity is of essence. For me, those are very key. Vision and shared goals and objectives. The rest is about creating a safe environment where people can to voice their opinion in a constructive manner. You as a leader, you should also be accessible to everyone. Starting from the lower level up to the highest one. Everyone need to feel like this leader is accessible. I can share my opinion. I can talk to him anytime because he's here for that. For me, that is very important. Then you create an environment where people can express themselves, they can discuss, and you create processes in a way that whenever there is something that needs to be discussed, you are confident that you will be able to have that discussion, and in the end, a decision can come out of it that is actionable and accepted by everyone. It's difficult, but you have to try for that. I can give an example. I was in Mali as a country director. I was asked to be there to serve during the crisis. And then I found a very diverse team of experts coming from from different horizons. And what exacerbated the management situation there was it was in the middle of the crisis, and we had to relocate a very important base from Gao and relocate it to Kai. So what I've said, which is creating a safe environment, making everyone feel like they're accepted and they're heard, but also creating processes where they know that a decision will be taken, and this decision can be the best one. And they will feel confident to accompany and to support the implementation of the decision. That's what I tried when I was there, and it was really, I think, successful. In the end, we were able to relocate the base to Kai and to implement the program and also to deliver on the backlog of engagement we had with many donors. I think in the end, it was also a good response in that sense.
Yeah, so having a where you're leading in a diverse context or with people who maybe are more experts in certain areas, more experience, having that clarity of vision is very important. And giving people that space to be able to, voice their opinion and, debate it out
Exactly.
and then come
Exactly.
to a decision. Thank you.
Exactly.
One of the things I mentioned earlier is that I learned is around self-awareness. And self-awareness is one of the skills of leadership, and it's a skill that has to be developed. I don't think people are born with self-awareness, in a way that makes you sort of humble. So how would you encourage an emerging leader to develop self-awareness?
Yeah, to me is I don't know how we differentiate self-awareness and humility, but they come together. I would say by being humble, by knowing that you are not being judged as a leader from the technical competencies. You are being judged as a leader at the end of the day on the basis of the outcome that your team will achieve. How have you been able to inspire them, to lead them together, working together as a team in achieving something? That's where people, they will not come and see, okay, you're the best expert in food security, or you're the best expert in WASH. No, you are not being judged on that basis. You're being judged on your quality of how you are being able to inspire, how you're being able to facilitate processes that brings your team together to work towards achieving something and to deliver, and also to feel empowered and to feel happy working with you. If every morning, many of them or most of them or even all of them are feeling very happy to come to the office to work, that's where I think people will start assessing your capacity. So in order to do that, you have to be humble. You have to be open to criticism, constructive criticism. You have to listen to people to create a safe environment. You don't have to shy away from the difficult challenges you're facing. For instance, a staff might be very tough on you as a leader, but you still have to listen to them. You still have to create an environment where they can express themselves, where they can feel accepted. That is, I think, part of the quality of a leader, to be humble, to be courageous, to be open, but also at the end of the day, to be decisive, because this is also needed.
Yeah, that's so inspiring, thinking about self-awareness and humility goes together. You can't have one without the other, right? And if you are not humble, you will not be self-aware, or your own self-awareness will be yourself, basically,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
listening to yourself. But if you're humble, you will be able to listen and give people that space. I wonder, how do people get humility? Can they go and get trained on it?
Yeah, most traits of leadership, you can acquire them by learning and by challenging yourself.
Mm.
And to me, of course, naturally you can be a humble person, but if you start by saying, okay, myself, I don't know everything, I cannot pretend knowing everything, I cannot put myself in a position where I should know everything before I be able to lead these people. You're not going anywhere. You must accept that you have not been recruited as a leader because you know everything. You have been recruited because people think that you have what it takes to lead these people, to realize their potential, to bring what they know, to bring their different expertise together and work together. That's the most important. In order to do that, you have to be, that self-awareness of not being able to know everything, I think is something you should learn. You should build your capacity in accepting that you are not the Messi, you don't know everything, and naturally feel confident that that's not a limit to be a leader. Okay? To me, this is something you can learn. I must say it's difficult, but humility can also be learned. I believe in that. Yeah.
Yeah, really excellent, starting with, accepting that you have limitation, you don't know everything, and that is not a limitation to who you are, and feel confident, in saying, this is not my area of expertise. And even if it's your area of expertise, creating space for that voice to listen to others as well, because we can only know to the extent of what we know, and so listening to others just like this conversation, just listening to different leaders is really giving us broader perspective and, understanding of leadership, even though, people might think leadership, it's the same for everybody. It's not. All the leaders have been having conversation. It is so enriching because they come with different perspective and you can really see, the richness in that as well. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, and I would like to add that, Adiola. For me personally, humility is key. Because it's when people ask me, what do you think has been important in your career group? I always say humility. And I explain. The way I explain is I wake up every morning saying to myself, I don't know. Every morning I say, no, I don't know. I need more. I need to know more. And I think this is what keeps me being hungry of knowledge, what keeps me being, excited about tomorrow, because I will wake up saying, okay, maybe today I will learn something. So that level of humility, saying to myself, I don't know enough every morning, I think has been instrumental in my career. Actually, I'm a global director, but I feel still like I'm hungry. I still want to learn. I don't know yet what I think is out there. I'm still excited about learning. So to me, learning is key in terms of building your humility.
So learning is key.
Yeah.
And for learning, you also need humility as well.
Exactly.
Thank you. Hey, oh, wow. These are really rich nuggets, and I'm taking a lot from it as well.
Okay. Very good.
So
Yeah.
when you look at meet emerging leaders, people that maybe they're just discovering themselves as leaders, or they're first time leading people, or they realize they've been leading people for years and it's been a challenge. What would be your top three advice to emerging leaders who desire to be, the best leader each day? I know you've talking about a lot, maybe if there's any addition, advice to what you've said, or maybe there are aspects that for you is your top three.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, of course, the top three I've already spoken about two mainly. The first one is humility, and the second one is keep on learning. To me, is very important. But if you are a young leader, or even if you're aspiring to be a young leader, it's important to know that you can be a good leader without being an expert on everything. To me, don't push yourself in a situation where you feel you don't feel confident because you have technical limitation. That's one thing. The second one is you have to be open and you don't have to be afraid of new ideas. So to me, it's very important because most of the time people stay with their comfort zone. Because at the beginning, if I say to myself, no, I will never become a director, I won't be there today. But I said, no, it's possible. I'm not a technical expert in everything, but for instance, I've not been an economist. That I led highly talented economists in my career. I'm not a medical doctor, but I have been a leader to many ophthalmologists or many doctors. So you have to say to yourself, it's not about the technical domain. It's about your ability to interact with people. It's about your ability to make people confident to work together in a safe environment and set some goals that they agree on and deliver on it and have a result. That's what it is. So to me, that's the second aspect that I would tell them. Don't confine yourself and say, no, I'm not highly expert in these technical domains, so I will never become a leader. Mm-hmm. To me, that is also key for young leaders. The last one is leadership is a journey. You cannot see someone who has 20 years experience, 20 years of experience being a leader and say, okay, maybe all of a sudden you become that leader. You have to accept that you need to build competencies over time and learn and move on. So take your time. It's not a race against anyone. It's a race against yourself. Build your capacity over time, and I'm sure you will get there. Of course, there is a dimension of chance, which is, of course, maybe you come across great leaders. So it's also your ability to identify good leaders who can inspire you. So, even if you don't work with them, you can collaborate with them, you can reach out to them, you can discuss with them. So be open to them. So identify those ones and try to connect with them. So these are the things that I would add to what I have already said.
Wow, thank you so much. I can't let you go without talking about Africa.
Okay.
So, what is your vision for Africa, and what will be one thing you will tell an young African leader about that vision for Africa?
Yeah, my vision of Africa, I think this conversation is very relevant to what I think about Africa. I think we have resources, enormous natural resources. We have people. What we don't have and what we think we need more is great leadership. And to me, it's important that young leaders start looking at leadership in a different way. It's not about identifying the Messi who will come and sort out our issues. It's about how we can come together and create that vision and create a safe environment where we can work together and collaborate across the different countries, and define the political vision that we need and define the economic environment that we want to see ourselves tomorrow. Then we move together. Let's not put ourselves in a situation where we continue to depend on the others to develop ourselves. This is my vision, and I think, as I said, it's a repetition, but leadership is critical to it. So emerging leaders have to take their responsibilities and to come together as African leaders to create that vision, to develop the policy that we need together, and then to help the communities to realize their potential. Because communities are already in that frame. If you see the tendency in many countries, it's like the community as ahead of the leaders. I think the leaders need to catch up, and connect with that trend and create that leadership that we need to develop our continent.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow. We need collaboration, whether it's in Africa, in any aspect of leadership. Yeah. We also need a vision for Africa. I'm very passionate about Africa, and I'm hopeful that, we're going to see emerging new leaders in Africa very soon in our own generation. And
I hope so.
Transformation of Africa. People like you as well. Thank you, Mbacke, and I wish you all the very best in your new role. And I'm looking forward to, seeing and learning and hearing about that journey. So thank you for your time.
So thank you very much.
And we're going to share Mbacke's social media connection, LinkedIn, if you want to engage with him, if you want to be mentored by him or whatever, however you want to connect. As we've heard, learn from others and connect with them. So till the next leadership conversation, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you, Mbacke.